All right, let's talk about a guy who I think deserves a film study, Evan Neal, who, for Evan Neal, someone who had a lot of upside heading into the draft, but someone who I personally kind of expected him to be a bit more of a project than I think other people had talked about. There were some kind of fluky things on, he had solid production in college, but it wasn't quite as good as maybe some of the other offensive linemen who also struggled last year. So, it's not a huge deal. We know that guys can have bad rookie years and then have good second years. Look at his teammate Andrew Thomas, for example. But still, it's fair to mention Evan Neal had a rough rookie year. I think no one's going to really deny that. What can he do to fix it? And is this something long-term concerning, or is this something that actually he can improve upon and I wouldn't be worried about it at all? Well, it's maybe somewhere in the middle. So let's start off with this play. It's going to be a one-on-one block. And to be honest, one of the biggest takeaways I had from this, and we'll get into it in a second, was Daniel Jones had great pocket presence in this game, really helped them win that football game, and this kind of is going to highlight that as well, but not so much on this play. Really, we're going to talk about Evan Neal's hands, which I think can sometimes be a bit of an issue, which is odd because you think with his long arms, it wouldn't be. So watch how right when this play begins, again, you ideally, where do you want to get your hand placement? You want to get your, a lot of times I talk about if you're a right tackle, you want to get your right arm as far over as possible. That's typically the goal here, which, he's actually doing a pretty decent job of. That's not terrible. The issue is his left arm here. His left arm isn't attached to anything, as, it's actually DJ Wanum, who's the guy who is going up right here, doing a pretty good job of not allowing Neal to really get his left arm attached. Eventually, what Neal is going to try and do, get his left arm onto Wanum's sort of hip area and just drive him past Daniel Jones. That's what he's going to do at this point because he doesn't have the left hand placement the way he wants. It doesn't feel like his feet are in position to totally, hold him right here. But as he does, he kind of loses the right arm and basically just never, got him pushed back enough to get him behind Daniel Jones. Hey, that's the goal. You gave your quarterback enough time to make the throw. You didn't give up immediate pressures. And I would say, one thing I would say about Evan Neal is I didn't see him giving up a ton of immediate pressures last year. That wasn't a common issue I had with him. It really wasn't. He gave up pressures. For sure, he gave up pressures, but he did not give up them super quickly and did to do a pretty good job in situations like this where once he realizes he doesn't have the hand placement he wants, at least get the edge rusher behind Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is pretty good at not taking these, too far drop backs. And so because of that, I think this, that kind of works out well. But still, obviously, you'd like to see him just be able to kind of shut down guys, which certainly was not the case. Let's go over to this one. I have to say, Evan Neal found himself on the ground on that last play. Something you saw a lot. And it's honestly, I remember bringing it up in my video about him in college and thinking, this is a weird thing to bring up, the fact that a guy always falls down, but I noticed it, so if I notice something, I'll bring it up. And it's become somehow even more of an issue in the NFL. He falls down a lot. And again, he's a really tall player. Kind of makes some sense, actually. High center of, balance there. Makes sense that you can tip him over. Well, here's an example. Right when this play begins, you see that, okay, first off, I'm just going to say straight up, this is going to be an incredible move by Danielle Hunter right here. And I'm not going to get mad at really anyone for getting beat by a great move on Danielle Hunter. You haven't seen it yet, but watch how he's going to pull off this spin move. Look, Hunter pulls off that spin move, gets past Neal. Fine. Okay. Fair enough. I'm not mad at you for getting beat by a great spin move against Danielle Hunter. It's like one of those when the pitch is outside the strike zone and the batter still hits it for a home run. It's like, okay, you can't really blame the pitcher there. That was just good hitting. Kind of feel like here. It's like, okay, I don't blame the offensive lineman here. It's just good edge rushing. But that's not the reason why I'm bringing this up. Because watch what's going to happen after this point. Hunter really runs into Neal and doesn't even seem to hit him that hard because he was kind of trying for another spin move, and Neal just goes to the ground. His feet, I was looking to see if they got tangled. I don't believe they did. I believe he just didn't get a great grip and was maybe trying to hurry too much to get over and didn't really get his left foot far enough to the outside. So just a little bit of contact caused him to fall. What I'm trying to say here is it's a footwork issue, in my opinion. I think he doesn't always get his feet the way he wants it to be. And when you're someone as big as Evan Neal is, it's hard. Listen, it's just more space you got to cover with your feet, right? That's going to take a little bit longer. You have longer strides, so it's going to take a little bit longer to take a stride. And, it's why a lot of times, the better receivers, the quicker receivers and the slot guys tend to be 5'8" instead of 6'5", because it's just a little bit harder to get that done. And these are things you can work on, but the question is, what is the ceiling? You also have stuff like this, where again, it's going to be a one-on-one matchup here, once again going up against the great Danielle Hunter. So again, tough competition. But listen, in the NFL, a lot of good edge rushers out there. If you're going to play, you're going to get good matchups, and especially when Andrew Thomas is on the other side, teams are going to try to avoid him, and they're going to try to attack you. So he has to be able to at least, do okay in these matchups. He's typically going to get the worst matchup, get the tougher player. We'll look at how on this play, again, his right arm, the one I talk about being the important one, is currently not attached to anything except for Hunter's left arm. Hunter grabbed on, so he can't really do anything there. Also, Hunter has his right arm to the inside on that, left shoulder area. So for Neal, there's really nothing he can do. I mean, Hunter's kind of just doing whatever he wants in this spot. Again, Jones doing a lot of good stuff, getting rid of the ball quickly. That's really good stuff from Daniel Jones, but this is for sure, what I saw there. To be clear, this does not mean that Evan Neal cannot be a good tackle someday. It just means he has technique issues to work on. And again, to some degree, there's some people to argue that this is the guy they would rather have. Give me the athlete who has technique issues, because once we fix those technique issues, then he'll be a superstar offensive lineman. Obviously, the counter is not every single player that has technique issues goes on to fix those technique issues. Sometimes they just have those issues and that's it, right? You don't know if you're going to ever fix it, but if you can, you definitely have sky-high potential with someone like Neal. Also going over to this play, what's going to happen here, it's going to be a one-on-one matchup here. And again, Hunter, really, once they started putting Hunter on Neal, you really saw that, they were having a hard time. I mean, that's just what was happening. Here's what's going to happen, where again, watch his right arm, and just watch how little it does, basically, Evan Neal's right arm. Look at how he gets it out, and I mean, Hunter just completely, knocks it aside like it's nothing. He ends up getting a sack there from Evan Neal, and that was an immediate pressure. So, I gave him credit, Neal, for being able to earlier in the game, kind of do a good job of shoving people behind him. And I still stand by that. I think he doesn't give up a ton of immediate pressures, but he just gives up a lot of pressures, and he needs to get the hands under control, and he needs to get the footwork under control, or the NFL world is not going to be long for him, in my opinion. So, are there things he can fix? Yes. And that's a good thing, right? I think that's a good thing. It'd be bad if he came in there and just felt like he would get the hand placement he wants and then just get shoved aside. Then I don't know how you work with that. With this, I at least know how you work with that. But is he going to improve? This is just what makes evaluating prospects, which is what you can still be a prospect if you played in the NFL, in my opinion. And this is what makes evaluating prospects so difficult, is how do I know that he is going to improve or not improve on this stuff? You don't. It's a complete projection. It's an educated guess, basically. But if he does, there still is potential for them to have an incredible tackle tandem for the next 15 years. But, it's still definitely a question mark. The nice thing is, maybe he can learn from Andrew Thomas himself, a guy who went through a very similar thing. So, yeah, those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And, of course, as always, thanks for watching.